This function is called the absolute value parent function. The equation for this function is f of x is equal to the absolute value of x. The symbols that we use to signify absolute value are a pair of vertical bars with whatever on the inside is taking the absolute value. What absolute value means literally is whatever you have on the inside, you're going to list the distance between that number and 0 if you were to put them on a number line. So really it's talking about a distance, and we know distances are always positive. Sorry, distances are never negative. So that means the answers that we get here for y can never be negative. We'll pick a few x values to work with here. So I'm going to pick -1, 0, 1, and 2. If I take -1 and I put it in place of x here, then this would say the y value is equal to the absolute value of -1. An absolute value means the distance that -1 is from 0. So -1 on the number line is 1 unit away from 0. So the y value there would be a 1. Now if x is 0, I put a 0 in place of the x. This would say that the y is equal to the absolute value of 0. So that's asking how far is 0 from 0 on a number line. Now 0 is 0 units from 0, so the y value would be 0. If x is 1, I put in 1 in place of x, and this would say y is equal to the absolute value of 1. Now 1 is 1 unit away from 1 on the number line, so the y value would just be a 1. If x is 2, that means I put a 2 in place of x, so this would say y is equal to the absolute value of 2. So 2 is 2 units away from 0 on the number line, so the y value would be 2. Now I have some points that I can plot so I can see what this thing looks like. So I've got -1, 1. So that means I start at the origin, I go to the left 1 and up 1. 0, 0. So I'd start at the origin, I'd go over none and up none. 1, 1. So I'd go over 1, up 1. 2, 2. I'd go over 2, up 2. And the shape of this graph is kind of starting to appear here. It kind of looks like it might be a V shape. If I want to be certain, I may want to pick another value of x over here. So maybe I'll pick a -2 just to check it out. So if I put -2 in place of x, then this would say the y is equal to the absolute value of -2. So that's saying how far is -2 from 0 on the number line, and that would be 2 units. So I'd plot the point -2, 2. So I'm pretty convinced we've got 2 straight lines going on here in each direction, meeting at a V there in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and plot the points. If you're unsure, of course, you could pick some more x values, like you could pick 3 and 4 and 5, and make sure that it actually does fall along that line. Same thing the other direction. Looks like it's just a line. Again, if you're unsure, you could pick some more x values that are over here, like -3 or -4 and -5, and make sure that it does actually fall on the line there. Since we could keep picking x values forever out this direction, and we continue getting y values to go along with it, it's going to follow that same pattern, so I could just put an arrow on the end, so that way I don't have to draw the graph forever. Now for the domain, since this is just absolute value, it's just asking about the distance that whatever number on the inside is from 0 on the number line, I could pick any number I want to. So that means x could be any real number. For the range, the y values, since they represent a distance that number is from 0, then that means the y values are always going to be either 0 or larger than 0. So I would say y is greater than or equal to 0. Now for intervals where this is increasing, decreasing, or constant, I need to look at the graph from left to right to determine that. So I'm going to start on the left side of the graph, and I'm going to move my pen as far over to the left as I can see here. And if my pen's moving up, then it's increasing. If it's moving down, then it's decreasing. And if it's staying the same as I move across the graph here, not going up or down, then it's constant. Over here, I've been going down this whole time, so it is decreasing. So that'd be decreasing from a negative infinity, an x value of negative infinity, all the way up until an x value here of 0. So I'd say it's decreasing from negative infinity to 0. And I use parentheses on either side there. Then if I continue, move about on the graph here, now my pen is moving upward as I move from left to right. So that means this graph is increasing now. So that's increasing from an x value of 0, and then I could continue moving to the right forever, so that would be out to an x value of a positive infinity. So I'd say it's increasing from 0 to positive infinity. Again, parentheses to signify that we do have an interval there. At no point on this graph, as I move my pen from left to right, is my pen not going upward nor downward. It's always either doing one or the other, so that means it's never constant. The things you need to know about this function, you need to know its name is absolute value. The equation of the function is f of x is equal to the absolute value of x. The graph, the domain, and the range. One thing that helps a lot of students remember that this is the absolute value graph is it kind of makes a V shape. And in the name, there's a V here in absolute value.